All right, so up next, we are going to be meeting with Molly Ochiltree from RMC Electrical. We closed a loan for them earlier this year to construct a building that they're going to be moving their business into. So we're going to meet with Molly and her husband Michael and talk to them about their business and what they intend to do next.
Part of the game, they running 5 drills. I'm off for the chain, and I'm hot still. Looking like Scorpion, get over here. Been some people trying to relate, ain't close to here. Think it ain't a sacred place, you done misinterpret. Relationships just ain't been worth it. Fool if you think when I don't post, I ain't working. Never too close, I know no things certain. I walk in purpose, float on surface, fly in person. There's some stuff you gotta be birthed with. Leaving my mark in cursive, bleeding my heart, soothing the soul of yours. The hope they purchase, but I no longer need a piece of margin. Float on.
What's going on, Molly?
Okay.
So what does RMC Electrical specialize in?
We are a commercial electrical contractor. We do tenant improvement and some ground up, and we hope to do more ground up.
Speaking of ground up, obviously you have this lovely building here that's about, how complete would you say this is right now?
50%?
We're about
30?
30% complete, okay. It looks a lot further along than 30%, I would say. It looks.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot further along than 30%. In my eyes, the only thing that needs to happen is doors, glass, and drywall.
Right. So what's the first step in building something like this?
Plans.
So you start with your plans and specs.
Mm-hmm. So the first thing that we went over was design.
Okay.
What do we want it to look like? What on the site are we working with? Mm-hmm. And how can we put what we're working with on the site, or what we want on the site?
Sure.
And that was the first step.
And was there something in particular that attracted you to this site?
Yes, proximity to home.
Ah, okay. Perfect.
Proximity also to Tampa for Michael and the men coming in from Tampa, right off Tampa Road. Mm-hmm. Prime.
Okay.
There's nothing better. Unless we were to go into Tampa, but we're in Pinellas County here, so it has its draws in terms of tax as well.
Right. So the first thing we did was we helped you take the site down, right? We did a bridge loan for you at 50%
We
loan
bought
to
the
value.
site. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then obviously that was then taken out by the SBA loan.
Yeah.
And now obviously you guys will start the construction process. But I know that there were some particulars with Oldsmar that you guys kind of had to go through with the permitting and everything like that. So what was that process like?
That process was a little tedious. That process included a county, like a meeting that we had to go to.
Okay.
And it was like a open town meeting. And the town meeting, pretty much anybody that didn't want our building to be built here had the chance to speak at that meeting.
Were there people who didn't want it built?
Yeah, there was, no, I don't think she didn't want it built. She had concerns of flooding. One of the homeowners back here had concerns of flooding, which we understood. But then as soon as Oldsmar at the time, I'd already seen our plans and changed a lot of things. We were bringing some fill into the site. They didn't like the fill in the site, so we had to create a 25-year,
100-year.
100-year flood to hold enough water.
And explain what that means, 100-year flood.
Our stormwater system has to be able to handle the known effects of a 100-year flood event.
Okay.
And not impact the neighboring properties.
So they're saying when they say 100-year flood, they mean a flood that happens once every 100 years?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So something that may never happen for as long as you guys own the building, but just in case it does happen, if you happen to have that one of the 100 years when that flood happens, they want to make sure that you have that.
We'll be able to hold that water for
We'll
them.
be able to hold. We'll be able to hold our water and everybody else in this neighborhood's water at this point. It almost doubled our site cost, and that was the biggest impact for us.
It threw a lot of things out of our budget.
Yeah, it killed our budget.
That's right.
It killed our budget. So instead of bringing dirt in that you would be able to do and any probably municipality, Oldsmar through that kind of darted us, and we had to deal with that.
Right. So you guys had to be flexible, right? Because it's like that old boxing saying. It's like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yes.
Right. That was your punch in the face, right?
Punch in the face for us,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So that you guys had this elaborate building that you were going to build. All of a sudden, a huge portion of your budget has to be allocated for something that you never imagined would be
Correct.
required of you in 100 years.
Correct. But apparently it happens all the time, and
Yeah.
you just got to go with the punches and keep going.
And you went with a lot of punches
Yeah,
throughout
we
our
did.
entire process.
We did.
Because like I said, we met back in 2019.
Correct.
I was at a prior bank, and then you made the decision to reach out to me and follow me over here.
Correct.
So we've really been building up to this for really 3 or 4 years.
This is what we always wanted.
Yeah.
It was our goal from, I believe, since we moved down here. It was our goal was to come to a place where we could have our own business and grow something for our family, because our sons both work for us. So it's a family business, and hopefully one day one of them take over.
Absolutely.
So that's the goal.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the SBA process. How was it for you?
Worse than having children?
like the part of giving birth of having children, or raising them?
Raising them.
Okay.
Maybe a little of both.
So you have to raise the loan from start to finish.
It's a lot of more patience than raising children.
Really?
Yeah.
So what was the most daunting part of the process?
Paperwork.
Paperwork, yes.
I can see a lot of people, I felt that way. I felt, do I really want to do all this?
Right.
And I had to keep my brain on my goal.
Right.
And if I didn't have my goal, I can't see doing all that work.
Sure.
And dealing with people and personalities, and a lot of my personality came out. So I think it was tough in terms of perseverance, paperwork, the appraisal process.
Right, so we had a very difficult appraisal process.
We did.
Where essentially we had a first appraisal done, and it came in significantly low, which meant that you guys were going to have to come up with a bunch more money, which at that point basically made the project not feasible. Right? I mean, you guys were
Couldn't do
potentially
it.
going
We
to
were
have
stretched
to,
on everything here.
Absolutely. And so you guys were even potentially going to have to look at other options for financing. But we were able to get a second appraisal ordered, and that one came in pretty much on the number. I think it was like $500 off or something like that. And so we were able to, in the end, to get where we needed to be.
We did.
That was stressful.
It was very stressful. It was, okay, what's plan B? And loan sharks.
Right.
Whatever we need to do to get that money, we were willing to do.
Sure.
If that meant our house, I would never go to family, but whatever we needed to do to get this loan done and our dream done is what I was going to do.
Well, thank God
There's been a lot of additional stretching involved to get there.
Oh, for sure.
And we would have still made it happen. It's just not what you wanted to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you were able to avoid the loan sharks for sure, because that's the last thing you need.
I was calling some C lenders, and that's a scary thing. So I'm glad you were able to get it done.
For sure.
And
so
through the bank.
If there would be any advice that you could give somebody who's going to go through the SBA process, what would you tell them?
Have someone hold your hand and have a really good support team with you, and never give up on your dream, because you will want to every step of the way.
Yeah.
And just have a backbone, but have people behind you. Whoever you need to help you get through that process, use those people and take every bit of advice that you can get from someone, because they're the people that keep you going.
And there's proof that it's a real thing.
It is, definitely.
That there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if you follow it, right?
Yes.
We really do close loans, and we really do fund loans, and we really do build real buildings and help real people. It's all real. Yeah. But you do have to kind of go through.
Sometimes it's a fairy tale in your head, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah, until you actually are at the closing table and you're signing loan docs. Sometimes it can feel
and even then, you were a little nervous, like the next day, will this be done?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this really done?
Will the money actually be in the account?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a scary thing.
All right, so obviously we can see what the building is in its current state. When did you guys get started?
April.
First week of April, we started construction.
And when do you expect it to be complete?
September 1st, I believe.
September 1st is what they're
Current goal.
saying.
Wow.
Currently.
That is a quick turnaround time.
It is, but I think we're on target for that too. I mean, the site's developing pretty well. We have our meeting with FDOT this week to break, or early next week to coordinate the curb break at this entrance. And we're going to be waterproof, weather tight in about a week, maybe 2 at the most. The roof's going on today. A lot of the window frames are in, and the glass is only about a week behind.
That's awesome. Well, you mind if we go check it out?
Let's go check it out.
Okay, so what is the what are these right here that we're seeing? These metal brackets.
This is our wall layout. This is the bottom track for the walls.
Okay.
So this is one of the entrances we'll be using. This is our car door in to our main open office area at the end here.
Got it. So all of these are walls right here. These are
Yeah.
the walls that are going to go.
Yes.
Okay. And so obviously the roof went on today.
Yes.
And then what's the next step?
The framers have been in here. As you can see, they're going to continue framing. Once the framing is done, the electrical can come in, do their window wall rough in. The plumber can come in, do his work. And then mechanical with HVAC equipment will start not long after that.
So what is one advantage of being an electrical contractor that is doing ground up construction?
We get to do things the way we want them done. We get to do things in a way that are least disruptive to the overall building structure at the end of the day. We have more time or more ability to integrate things as the building's being built rather than having to add them after the building's built. That's one of the nicest parts. Like the exterior walls are only framed out 3/4 of an inch thick. Well, a typical electrical box needs at least 1.5 inches of wall to exist. A lot of times in a new building, an electrician will come in after everything's framed, and he'll come in with his hammer and start chipping out the block to make room for his box.
Okay.
We made the decision, hey, this is our building, we're not going to beat our building up. We got in here early and got all of our boxes in with the masonry and all the conduit feeding the boxes in the masonry, so we're not beating our building up to get that stuff in later.
Gotcha. And so that helps the structural integrity of the building.
It does. I mean, it doesn't destroy the building when an electrician comes in and beats the block out, but at the same token, our building is 100% complete the way it was intended to be. We're not missing any blocks. We don't have to patch anything back. It's all built right the first time.
No, that makes perfect sense. So I guess a good place for us to kind of wrap it up is just tell me a little bit about RMC Electrical and how you guys really got started, what your background is. Were you working for another electrical contractor before you went out on your own? What's your story?
We were. We originally moved here from the Philadelphia suburbs about 12 years ago now, I think.
12 years ago.
About 12 years ago. Worked for another electrical contractor and kind of grew through the ranks, learned how to do everything on the office management side. And it was starting to get to the point where it was like, hey, do you want to take this over? And we started talking about things. It was like, well, you can take this over and assume this for X. And we said, well, X is this. I said, you know what, maybe we can do this for B or C ourselves. And we took the B or C option.
Got it.
So here we are today, and we're building it up.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again so much for your time, Mike, Molly. It's a pleasure. It's been a long time coming. I can't believe since 2019.
19.
Yeah. Amazing how far we've come. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
With a standard banking relationship.
Exactly.